Okay, take us away.
All right. Well, after much ado about nothing, we are live on YouTube and streaming live. Thank you so much for joining us at Pop Cult X, episode 80, talking about pop culture events, topics, etc., from a Gen X point of view. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you guys have any questions for us while we're streaming, please hit us up, send us a question, and Danny will read it, and we will answer your question as soon as possible, or if you have any comments about what we're talking about. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Danny, what is going on? What have you been watching, listening to, reading, etc.?
Well, quite a few things. Actually, the first one, and it was high on my to-do list or to watch list, I guess, and it finally was released last weekend, and that was W.E.I.R.D, the Weird Al Yankovic biopic, the totally truthful biopic. And it was a blast. It was so much fun to watch. I enjoyed every minute of it. And you know, it's a revisionist history in a way, but it was really fun. Daniel Radcliffe did a great job in parodying Weird Al. I think that's the whole thing right now. A parody of, right?
Yeah.
But he did a great job. Evan Rachel Wood did a great job as Madonna. And there were so many cameos in there. It was crazy. Every time I look at the screen, is that what's his name? It sure is. And have you seen it? Or do you plan on watching it?
I haven't watched it yet. I plan on watching it. So my first question is, the people that do cameos, is it the real people, or are the artists being portrayed by someone else?
They are the celebrities are playing a part. So it's a cameo as them in character. So it's not themselves. So like
can you
the whole
give us an example of one of the cameos without spoiling it?
Conan O'Brien
Okay.
did a cameo of someone. I won't say who, if you'll recognize him. Who else was in there? David Dasmalchian, is that how you say his last name? The guy who played Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad.
Okay.
He was in there. Lin-Manuel Miranda was in there.
Oh, wow.
When Weird Al was actually in there as well.
Yeah, I
So you
saw
gotta find him.
He plays like an A&R kind of guy, right? He's
a record exec. Yeah.
The young Weird Al about possibly getting a contract. I actually saw his interview on The View this morning, and it just reminded me of what a like nice guy he is. I think one of the few people that is, I mean, I don't want to call him wholesome, but he's just kind of good fun. I don't really feel that any of the parodies were done with a mean-spirited, attempt to try to make fun of anyone. It was all, in admiration, I think, of all the different artists. In the interview, he actually talked about how Prince was one of the few artists that wouldn't allow him to parody him. And I thought that was kind of interesting that everyone else gave him permission to do that except for Prince. But it really made me want to watch the movie, because I haven't listened to a Weird Al song probably since Amish Paradise. I know that he had another
that's in there.
Yeah, he had a song that was a more recent hit, but by then I was already well into adulthood, and I didn't really listen to that kind of parody type music. But he's very interesting, and I like the take of doing a biopic movie but as a spoof of a biopic movie, not exactly how it was done. So it's sort of the way he makes fun of music videos and pop culture.
Exactly,
he's making fun of in a way, or
of himself,
fun of a biopic, because as in his words, he said that biopics are sort of formulaic. They all have the same formula that they follow, and he didn't want to do the exact same thing. Was interested in hearing that Madonna is played by Evan Rachel Wood, and she is sort of a villain. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's what they call the Yankovic bump, right? That's what the whole thing, when Weird Al did a parody of the song, that actual artist received a bump in their record sales, right? So Madonna really wanted to have that Yankovic bump. So she went through the process of, maybe seducing him, maybe not, of trying to get her record parodied by him so that her sales would increase. It's funny because I heard an interview when he did, I think, with Jimmy Fallon, and that he only met Madonna for like 45 seconds, but then she's throughout basically the whole movie. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious. It's really cool. Yeah, I think I agree completely with you that he did a great job of turning the biopic on its head. So it's not what you expect, because especially the twist at the end, I wasn't expecting that at all to happen, and it was really great. And yeah, you should watch it, and it's free on Roku.
Yeah, nice. I will definitely be checking it out. I think speaking of Madonna, she is been in a couple headlines. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but she is, or not TikTok. Actually, she does a lot of Instagram and TikTok. But she does a lot of videos of herself, like in various states of undress. The
Okay.
subject or the controversial topic being, is she too old to be dressed or acting in, in such a way?
Mm.
I think that there is no age limit to act however you want to act. I
Yeah,
like the way she
that's
has
true.
her hair. It's pink. The only thing that concerns me is that, like the potential of, like, if she's doing any substances that are making her a little kooky or whatever. I haven't seen anything that would suggest 100% of that she's doing any sort of, illegal activities or, abusing anything, but it looks like she's having fun. I hope that we all have fun at that age and can still maintain our relevancy and still be cool. So I support her. There are some things that I don't like that she does, particularly when she was going against Lady Gaga and sort of making somewhat derogatory comments about her. That's kind of where she lost me as a fan, but I've always respected her as far as her ability to take from various, cultures, uh, trending, fashion, sounds, and kind of blend it into her own sound and her own look. So I'm on the camp. I'm in the camp of, let her do whatever she wants. She's an icon. She's
Yeah.
a legend. Who cares?
Yeah, I
Have you
hear you.
seen any of her new iteration? No, you should definitely check it
No, I
out. It's
haven't.
interesting. She definitely does not look the same. I think she's, taken the, how would you say that, she's had some work done, and I think
Okay.
that she looks good. uh you can take plastic surgery or fillers as far as you want them to and create a look that you are happy with. I think she's gearing into a look that is kind of obvious. It's not subtle, but if that's what she
Mm,
wants to look like,
okay.
then cool. I applaud it.
Is there like a point of no return with that, you mean? Or like, you go up to a certain point, you take one more step and it's like, oh, it's downhill.
I think with fillers, you can have them dissolved, or you can do stuff to get it removed. But as far as
Mm,
like Michael Jackson would be a good example of, like, you can't add
hmm
a nose back. Like, he basically removed his nose. So if it was something like that, then yeah, there's no going back. But as far as fillers and Botox, I think that for the most part, it's kind of reversible. So hopefully, you know, if you decide to ever get fillers, you can always change your mind and have it reversed.
Okay. Just, I'm just making mental notes for the future. Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're getting closer and closer to 50, so we want to look as youthful as possible.
Exactly. Speaking of getting older, and I say this only because I was watching a new Hulu series called Reboot, and it's a very fun series. It's basically about, like I say, a 90s TV sitcom called like Step Right Up. That's what they called it. And think of something that would be like on ABC, TGIF type of thing.
Yeah.
And they 30, 40 years later, they're trying to reboot it with the original cast. Of course, they've all aged 20, 30 years. And it's just a very fun show. I mean, the cast has like stars, basically Keegan Michael Key, Johnny Knoxville, Judy Greer, Paul Reiser. And those are like the main characters. There's also Rachel Bloom and some other characters. I'm looking at their IMDb, and it's just a lot of fun. And it really basically is about a show within a show. So I was chatting on some people on Mastodon, which is a topic we'll get to later. And they basically they were TV writers who've been in that situation, and they said it pretty much captured what the feel is of when you're creating a sitcom in the writer's room and the day-to-day basis. So I highly recommend it if you haven't had a chance to watch it. It's on Hulu. It's called Reboot. Go watch it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. There are a lot of actors that are involved that I really like, so I'll definitely add that to the list.
You should.
Yeah. So one of the things that I did this last weekend, was it this weekend or last weekend? I don't recall, but I don't think we talked about it. I went to go see Terrifier. It was actually before Halloween, but
Okay.
we had our interview with Maria Wolf, so I didn't talk about it.
Mhm.
Terrifier 2 is obviously a sequel to the Terrifier Part 1. It is, for those who are afraid of clowns, like probably a very terrifying movie. The killer, or like the Jason or Freddy of the movie, is this really crazy clown. The thing that sets this movie apart from some of the other slasher flicks is that they go buck wild when it comes to the killing scenes. Like, it's very graphic,
Mm.
it's very intense. Like, it's not a quick like stab and go. It's very involved. So it is very terrifying. There are moments that, just like any like throwback 80s horror movie, there's kind of moments of humor, some stuff that's kind of cringy. But it actually, I really liked it, even though I was forewarned that I might get grossed out by some of the gore. It actually didn't really gross me out, because none of it looked really realistic. It looked just like a
Mm.
horror movie, which really didn't bother me. But it was really good. The cast is really good. The last girl, if you will, in the movie was really good. She's very charismatic, played a great part. And I think that we'll probably see more of this killer clown, probably at least another one or two. But I'm actually surprised I didn't see many people dressed up as him this Halloween or the previous Halloween, because it's a really iconic look. I don't know if you're Googling it right now, but it's pretty creepy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a yeah, that's a pretty creepy looking clown. My goodness.
Yeah. So I know that there's a lot of people that claim to have fear of clowns. So I imagine that this would probably be
Hmm.
their worst nightmare, but it was actually really good. I enjoyed it. So I recommend it. I think it's still in theaters. Um, and it's very much like a throwback to those like 80s horror movies of the past, which I'm a big fan of.
Very cool. Yeah, I enjoy those. I've found myself enjoying horror movies a lot more recently for some reason. I never really, I mean, I like them. They don't really scare me still, but I enjoy the filmmaking and storytelling of them a lot more this past year, really. So I will track down Terrifier 2 and
Yeah.
watch it.
Another one that we watched was The Barbarian, which was
I've
really
heard of that one.
interesting. Yeah, it's on
Hmm.
HBO right now, HBO Max. It's interesting, it's unique. There are some twists to the plot that were surprising. There are some parts of it that were annoying and kind of aggravating. The believability of some of the actions of some of the main characters was a little like, I don't
Hmm.
think that would
That's
really
what I've
happen in
heard.
real
Yeah.
life. But once you get over that, it is kind of a thrilling ride. It's not really scary. There's a couple places where there are some good jump scares, but it's a little creative. And so I like whenever creators veer away from the formula of horror
Yeah.
movies
Hmm.
past. And so that does a good job of that. So that one is something to check out. Even though Halloween's over, scary season's over, for me, horror movies are always in season. So if you're like
Year
me,
round.
definitely check it out on HBO.
And I was gonna sneak this in here because I know you're not a fan of it, but I watched Top Gun Maverick this past weekend, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. And I know you don't like Tom Cruise, but I don't think this movie is just about him. It's about everything that the character had went through, and how he deals with his trauma from his past. So it's a really good movie. The flight sequences, my goodness, those were amazing. And I think maybe I watched it for that, but they were just amazing.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it. Nothing about it appeals to me. I don't like the cast. The only thing that is good about it is the Lady Gaga song that she wrote for the film.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only thing that kind of interests me about it. But you're right. I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise. Not a fan really of movies about the military or like jets or airplanes or any of that sort. So I probably will never watch it, but I'm glad that it entertained you. And
It
many
did entertain me.
made like a ton of money, right? Like,
Yeah, it did.
yeah.
It really did.
It's interesting to see that he's still a moneymaker, even in his old age, and he's still doing action movies, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and he's still a draw, so that's quite interesting. People are go when he makes a movie, except for you, but
Yeah.
people go watch him. So
I'm curious with him obviously being probably the most famous Scientologist out there, if any of the court cases that are currently going on will have an impact on his likability, considering that America is such a gung ho Christian society, that some of that kind of kooky stuff that he may or may not believe in, if that has an impact on his likability. uh because people in America love their Christian. So not that Scientologists aren't Christian, but there is some controversy with what they believe in. And then most recently with
Mhm.
Danny Masterson, I think he is getting he's in trial right now with some allegations of I believe some bad doing. So I'm curious to see if that will have an impact on him or other Scientologists, because there's a ton of them right in Hollywood.
Yeah, there is, and I didn't even, I don't know, I don't even think about that at all. Maybe I should pay more attention to it, but I don't.
Do you ever see them in Vegas? Like, do they ever have like tables sitting there to hold their little machine and read your vibes or whatever it is that they do?
I've
Have you
never seen that here.
They
No,
have it. They have it here in
never seen
San
that.
Diego. I just saw it because they have a building here in that like downtown Little Italy area.
Right,
And
right. I think I've seen that. Yeah.
they had an older man the other day, like on the sidewalk, and they were doing their thing. And normally, when you drive by, it's kind of an empty building. It's like a huge building, and it's see through, nothing
Hmm.
but windows. And normally, not a lot is going on in there. But just recently, I did see them, possibly converting or at least having a conversation with someone that's interested in what they have to say. So I do find that religion fascinating, along with a lot of other religions, and what people are willing to do or not do for their religion.
Yeah.
Similar to like the Mormon religion or faith, or even Catholicism or Judaism. It's interesting, especially right now, because religion is such a hot topic with all the anti-Semitism that we're seeing out in pop culture. People claiming to be Christians running for Senate, and
Hmm.
whether or not they really represent Christian values is one thing or the other. But uh, religion is really interesting to me. Definitely, I don't know if it's a cult, if it's what the deal is, but
And that's a very thin line too between religion and cult, I think.
when an organization can dictate you spending time with your family and order you not to be around them, I think that's like a really weird, dangerous thing.
Mm,
And that's across the
yeah.
board. That, like, I mean, Scientologists famously do that, but so do
Hmm.
Mormons, so do Christians.
Hmm.
A lot of religions do that. They whenever someone in power sees that maybe a family member might have a negative impact on you, they're like, oh, cut them off, like don't talk to them. And
Right.
it's like, wow, you're putting a lot of power in someone's hands to determine whether or not your family member is good or bad for you.
Hmm.
That's
That's
I couldn't do that. That's crazy to me,
no.
but to each your own.
Speaking of putting power in someone's hands, let's talk a little bit about Twitter and the $44 billion purchased by a one Elon dude.
Yeah.
And how that's basically um kind of backfiring in a way, because now a lot of advertisers and users are running away from the platform at as fast as they can because of what he's bringing back into it, and basically the decisiveness that he's putting into it, and bringing allowing those accounts that were either banned or suspended to regain their platform of hate and whatnot. So I hate it because I really enjoy Twitter. I enjoy the fact that I can interact with not just celebrities, but like-minded people who we could talk about pop culture stuff and that stuff like that. And I hate the fact that it's being dismantled in a way or changed to a degree where it's not going to be the same as it was.
Yeah. I did delete my Twitter, like maybe was it last night or the day before? I went
Okay.
on and I was sort of scrolling through things, and it the topic obviously of whether or not you're going to stay on Twitter or if you're going to mosey on somewhere else was obviously in my head. I didn't have a knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, I need to delete it as soon as possible. But when I was looking at the benefit of having the Twitter account and the interactions that I have, at the end of the day, it really like it's just it was a waste of time for me. To speak frankly, there was a lot of people that I felt that I would be able to have connections with through Twitter that I didn't, which
Okay.
okay, so that's one thing, like connection with people that like-minded people that you say. I didn't really have the sort of interactions that I would hope to have with them. I had more interaction with people that like want to make comments that are negative or then
Yeah.
involve me in back and forth. That was more of a common occurrence than positive. And a lot of the stuff was I don't know, a lot of people promoting their own stuff, which I don't mind. And actually, I'm one to like I use Twitter to promote other people's stuff, like whether it be their comic book or their music or whatever I like. If I happen to like something, like I'm the first person to go on Twitter and say like, "Hey, this book just came out. Go buy it." I like to do that to support people, especially people within underrepresented communities like the LGBT community or the BIPOC community. But when I don't see that is kind of that gesture is returned, then I'm just like, am I just like helping people sell
Yeah, I know what
that
you mean.
are
Yeah.
not even gracious or grateful that I'm helping them out? Like I know that I think it was Random House. It was asking people to list their favorite books and talk about their favorite books. And I was like, oh, that's like right up my alley. Like I love to read. I love sharing, good book recommendations. And someone's like, you're doing their advertising for free and you're not getting paid. And they don't support, small writers. They don't, they're the establishment. And so it is just a lot of stuff that was kind of like, I was thinking about kind of weighing heavily on me, and I just decided to get rid of it. It
Nice.
wasn't worth all that stuff. Not that, it's going to miss me. It's going to move on without me. But,
like, no.
I think Whoopi Goldberg is probably one of the more famous people that I'm aware of that deleted her Twitter. And so obviously her presence will be missed because she's a very articulate, funny, person that I like to hear what she has to say, but it just was not. It just wasn't fun. It just wasn't really my thing anymore.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
I have Instagram now, and I post my pictures on Instagram, and I have a lot of interaction with people on Instagram, but that'll have to be it for me.
Well, if you can figure it out, it's a little bit higher of a learning curve. It's a new platform called Mastodon, which is what I moved over to. Well, I don't want to say I moved over because I still have my Twitter account because I'm on the fence. I don't know if I could just make a break and just purely be there. I don't know. I still like those connections that I've established there. And I like some of the comic book writers and artists that we've had have been from Twitter that we've been able to speak with them. And I think Jacob Edgar, who did the ones, I saw his tweet that basically like all of his comic book work and artwork has come via Twitter. So it's an interesting platform, and I really hope that the greater good or the public will have their voice heard and somehow get the platform back to where it was, or even to a better place than where it was, because it was, like you said, full of hate, full of decisiveness, and that needs to go away. And Mastodon right now for me has been really finding people that share similar interests. So right now I'm in all these groups that have like movie buffs and film buffs, comic book buffs, and it's still building. It's still there. I think they just barely crossed the 1 million user platform or number. So as a comparison to Twitter, which has like 396 million active users. So I noticed James Gunn was one of the more higher profile person that just started their account over on Mastodon, and he shared an image of Lobo from DC Comics on there. It's like, hey, I'm here, and it was a picture of Lobo. So I was like, is he hinting that that's going to be his first project in DC? Because that would be really fun. Imagine one of my favorite issues of Lobo is, I think it's called the Paramilitary Christmas Special, where Lobo fights Santa Claus. I don't know if you've ever read that one or not, but it's such a fun issue. So maybe James Gunn is trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just making stuff up for, YouTube.
Wishful thinking. I'll have to check it out because like you said, we have had some good interactions with some of the artists and writers and creators that we've had on the show. I wish that there was a site where creative people could exist and talk about their art and their creations and promote each other without like the politics, the hatred, the derogatory comments. I don't even know if that would be possible. Like anytime anything is created, the negativity just kind of flows in, even on Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
It's supposed to just be like pictures and snapshots of your life. People will post memes and political videos and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not even like, that's what Twitter was for. Like use Twitter to do that. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll stay away from Twitter forever. I think that it is a good tool to be able to find people. I mean, for us to find guests and for us to be able to come to the work, because we obviously have, an eye for, smaller talent. Like we're obviously not calling Jim Lee to have him on our podcast.
Well, I tried. He just didn't return my call.
And that's where you see a lot of those people posting their portfolios. Posting, their first issues of comic books that are coming out or their first book. So there is quality content that comes in. It's just, I don't know, maybe I thought that it would send a message or I just need a break from it. But
no, a break is good. A break is very good, and I wish I could do that from all social media. Just not use my phone for a couple of days. That would be just blissful. But
do you find that you're on Twitter more than anything, or what is your social media platform?
Right now it's Twitter and the new Mastodon. I'm equally between those. I think if I was doing more photography work, I'd be on Instagram more, because that platform is more visual than say Twitter is. I think Twitter is good because it's mainly text-based. Don't really use Facebook that much. Not on TikTok. I have it, but I don't use it. Never had Snapchat. I don't even know how to use Snapchat. What else is there? There's one that I created an account with a long time ago that I might jump back on. It's called Vero, V-E-R-O, and it's really for creative people, like you were saying. So it might be something worth checking out. And it's no algorithm, so you just see your whole display or your whole feed just by when it was inputted, who you follow and whatnot. So Vero, check that out.
Yeah. I think recently I've been spending a lot more time on TikTok just because the dog videos, like I love dog videos, they're funny. And I've gotten really good at being able to figure out how to get my feed to only be like positive stuff and eliminate any political or hateful stuff. And I think that it is just liking every single dog video that comes up, saving it, reposting it, etc., so that they know like 100%. I just want to see
this funny is what I want.
And it worked. Like I that's pretty much what comes across my page. So I've been spending a lot of time on that, but Instagram will probably always be number one with me just because it's visual, and that's where I post my work. and where I share my work and kind of help promote some of the people that I'm shooting. So that'll always, hopefully it stays in somewhat in the same format that it is, because sometimes things change and then it kind of ruins it. And then you have to go find some
Yeah.
other social media app. So hopefully Instagram just stays like that. Just nice pictures. You can like it, you can comment on it, eliminate the whole, how many people like it. I think that was a lot of pressure for a lot of young people. Just get rid of
That's
that.
true.
You can
Yeah.
let people know that you like it. You can like and you get a notification, but you don't need to know like, oh my God, I only have 500 likes on this picture. Like, hey,
I think that is it's the instant gratification of it as well, right? So you create something that you like, that you think is fantastic. You put it out there for the world to see, but if you all you get is crickets, it makes you question yourself, right? What did I do it wrong? Is my taste level different than other people's? So yeah, if you can remove that notifications and not worry about how many likes or comments or retweets or whatever you're getting, I think it will be make it a little bit more of a happier place for you.
yeah. Cool. So that's the whole Twitter debacle.
Well, the last thing I have is last week, as you all know, you guys watched the interview with Maria Wolf. Maria, thank you again for coming on. I wasn't here because I finally got to go watch Hamilton, the Broadway musical, live in Las Vegas, and it was fantastic. I've seen it many times on Disney Plus platform. I've listened to the soundtrack many times, probably more than I care to admit.
Yeah.
And it was seeing it person being there. It was just great. I knew what was coming up, because of my knowledge of the show. But for me, as a visual storyteller, photographer, the lighting scheme that they used, and you can't really get the grasp of it watching it on the TV, but they're in person. Oh my gosh, it just blew my mind. It was just so great. And it just really enjoyed how they use light to communicate the emotion, to communicate the storytelling, where the visual, where your eyes need to go to capture the whole story. And it was just above everything else. The actors did great. They were wonderful. Performances was great. But I was just enthralled with the lights. That's just me.
Just throw up some pretty lights and you'll be happy.
Exactly.
It doesn't take much to entertain you, just some flashy lights.
No, just some lights.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm like a cat, I guess.
It's been a couple of years since I saw Hamilton. Again, it's not really my thing. I'm not a musical theater fan. I have sort of grown to appreciate the work that goes into creating a musical. I mean, I have been very fortunate to have seen some like really good musicals. Like recently, Hadestown was really entertaining. A lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of good stuff, but I think that when I go to see a musical, the one thing that really impresses me is just the talent of the people that are performing.
Yeah.
I mean, they can dance, they can sing. They're giving it their all, regardless of whether or not they're on Broadway or in Vegas or San Diego. And it's really admirable. Like, I wish I had the ability to sing, because it's just amazing to hear their voice live. It's so different than when you're listening to it on like a soundtrack or on television. When you hear it live and their voice just fills up the theater, and you can hear the passion in their voice. It's really magical. And that's the thing that I like the most about it, whether it be the actual music or what they're talking about, the themes of the musical. I'm just impressed by the actual talent that they have vocally, that they're able to do. So definitely a lot of talent when it comes to the Hamilton cast. The original cast and the touring cast, they're talented, crazy talented people. So
always I completely agree.
Yeah. So would you say that that's one of your top 5 favorite musicals? Is it your favorite musical? If not, which is your favorite?
Goodness, it is a top 5 for sure. I haven't seen believe it or not, I haven't seen too many of them. I mean,
Yeah.
I've performed in like Into the Woods and Guys and Dolls. So those are automatically, since I was in them in high school, those are two of my top favorites. But Hamilton, that and the opera was really good. I really enjoyed that. What else would I put up in there? I haven't seen Wicked. Heard that's pretty good.
You'll be
Actually,
seeing
aren't they
Ariana Grande in that movie fairly soon.
right?
They're
Yeah, that's what I was
filming it.
about to say. They're filming it right now, which is really cool. And In the Heights, I've only seen the movie production of it, but that's really good. Another Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Tick Tick Boom is good. Rent has to be at the top of list for me because I've listened to that soundtrack many times as well. So
Yeah.
between Rent and Hamilton, those are probably one and two for me, going back and forth either way.
Yeah.
Then Into the Woods, Stephen Sondheim is just great. And yeah, I'll just stop with that because I don't know what else.
Yeah, those are some good ones, right? Like modern day classics, I think,
Yeah.
as far as Rent and Hamilton and there's a couple that I've seen recently that were really good. One called Lempicka, which is based off of the female artist who's famous for like that Art Deco style.
Okay.
That one was really good. That was really entertaining. The story and the plot was really interesting. I don't think that it's actually navigated or gone to Broadway yet. It was still in the uh, workshop,
Got it.
part of its creation, and we were able to see it in La Jolla. But that
La
was
Jolla Playhouse.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw Jersey Boys there, and that was really fun. The Frankie Valley story with and the Four Seasons, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. And that was while they were workshopping it as well.
Yeah. Have you seen Moulin Rouge, the movie?
Not yet. It's on my list because of what we spoke about before, how they use the modern pop songs to tell the story, and I love how when they do that.
I feel like you'd like it because of the music, and the musical itself was really fun. It wasn't, overly in too deep as far as having to think about the plot. It was very simple, but it was just a lot of fun. The music that they had in it, it was just kind of like, oh, well, you almost want to sing along to it because it's pop songs. So that one was a lot of fun to see recently too.
I think it's coming to Vegas next year. Maybe I'll go watch it.
Yeah, you definitely have to check it out. The set's really cool, and the songs are really cool. I mean, I knew pretty much all of the songs. There was like maybe one or two songs that I was like, which song is that? But for the most part, the pop songs that they have in there are like super top-notch pop songs, very famous.
I'll go find the movie and I'll watch it before next week.
I think it's on Stars. If you have Stars, I just saw it because I was going to watch it the other day. Because I don't
have
I've
a free
actually
trial
watched it from beginning to end, but I'm a huge fan of Ewan McGregor, and I really like Nicole Kidman as well, and John Leguizamo. Like the cast is amazing. Like you just start talking about the cast, and it's like, so I don't know why I haven't sat down to watch it. Probably because it is a musical, but that I will have to watch from beginning to end and actually watch the whole thing. So,
okay, so next week we're talking Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
from start to finish. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode 80. We covered a lot of pop culture ground this week. Thank you all for tuning in, for stopping by. Be sure to subscribe with that little button down there somewhere. That way you get notified when we go live again like this, and you can tune in and you can leave comments and yell at us and tell us what we're doing wrong. So with that, anything else you got for this week, Gabe?
That's all I got.
All right.